Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the Bhagavad Gita Study Circle. And this is the 104th session that we are having. So we have come a long way. And very interestingly, today we are starting a new chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and that is chapter number 10. So Prabhupada says that the opulences of the Lord are very nicely explained in this particular chapter. The Lord Himself is revealing His opulences here, His Vibhuti Shakti. There are so many wonderful energies of the Lord that He has already explained from chapter number 7. So, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, 8, and 9. 7 and 8, of course, a lot of energies, the different energies of the Lord have been explained. But in this particular ninth chapter, we understood that how Lord personally revealed certain internal aspects of Himself and the creation and few other things. But now, when he ended the ninth chapter saying that man mana bhava mad bhakto, you always remember and think about me. And how do we think about the Lord all the time? How are we supposed to do that practically? That Krishna explains in this 10th chapter. So it becomes very important for all of us as practicing devotees that we need something on a day-to-day basis to practice our spiritual life so that we think about Krishna all the time, because Krishna is asking us to think about him so that you get the Param Gatim. So if we want to do that and have that, achieve that Param Gatim, then what are the practical solutions for that? That also is being revealed by Krishna himself in this particular chapter. So it's very nice and wonderful things have been explained here. So let me begin with the pranam mantras and let's dedicate this session to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, and my beloved spiritual master. So all of you have been reading about Prabhupada, listening to Prabhupada, and there are so many beautiful things that Prabhupada explained. In fact, whatever we are speaking is also coming from Bhagavad Gita as it is, which is actually translated by Srila Prabhupada. So this is something very interesting, and Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita is actually one of the most read Bhagavad Gita in the whole world. It is considered to be the standard textbook for all the religious studies across major universities around the world. So this is very, very special. So that's why we are referring Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. And there are so many intricacies that Prabhupada has already explained, so that we will understand as we step into this wonderful chapter number 10. So very beautifully, let's chant along with me the pranam mantras. Uh, I'll be cutting short the pranam mantras considered to the what we used to have previously. So just chant along with me. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyat Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Hare Krishna. So welcome once again all of you for the Bhagavad Gita study circle. So in the previous session, we completed the 9th chapter and we have very beautifully understood that Krishna explains one very nice thing. Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhya jimam namaskuru mam evashyasi yuktvaivam atmanam mat parayanaha. So atmanam mat parayanaha. So all such great devotees are those who are constantly thinking about me, man mana. And we understood that how crazy this mind is, isn't it? It's like a monkey mind. And to control this monkey mind and fix this on the Supreme Lord is not as easy as we think. But since we are practicing devotees, the process is given to all of us. By following the process given by the Acharya, we can strictly follow and then ensure that our mind is controlled. It is very much possible. Mad Bhakto, Krishna is saying, you become my Bhakta. Madhyaji, you offer everything to me, and we have understood that Madhyaji means there are so many things that you can offer. You are Nitya Karma, you are Naimittika Karma, and along with that, anything that you offer, anything that you actually do, all your activities can be offered to the Lord. Mam Namaskuru, Barambara Pranam hai, isn't it? Constantly, you continuously always pay your Namaskara, offering, pay obeisances to the Supreme Lord. And by doing so, such a great source, Mat Parayana, such they'll all remember me and they'll come back to me. So this was the final instructions of the ninth chapter. And then now, in the 10th chapter, Krishna is about to explain how are we supposed to think about him all the time. So that is why when we talk about Bhagavad Gita, it is a very, very practical instruction. It's a manual for life. When we say it is actually, we mean it. We mean, why? Because Krishna is giving our Dainik karma, everything that we are supposed to do on a day-to-day basis is already explained in the Bhagavad Gita. So this is a very, very special chapter again. There are many, many wonderful energies of the Lord, and his opulences are being explained here in this particular chapter. So, Hina Mataji, you can unmute yourself and let us chant this particular shloka, verse number 1 of chapter 10. And we have Vinodji also joining us in on YouTube today. So that's very nice. So all of us, we can hear and chant about this very nice verse. Okay. So Hina Mataji, you can unmute and chant. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
श्रीभगवान् उवाच
Bhuya eva mahabaho.
भूय एव महाबाहो
Shruну me paramam vachaha.
शृणु मे परमं वचः
Yatteham priyamanaya.
यत्तेऽहं प्रीयमाणाय
Vakshami hitakamyaya.
वक्ष्यामि हितकाम्यया.
Once again, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
श्रीभगवानुवाच
Bhuya eva mahabaho.
भूय एव महाबाहो
Shunu me paramam vachaha.
शृणु मे परमं वचः
Yatteham priyamanaya.
यत्तेऽहं प्रीयमाणाय
Ukshami hitakamyaya.
वक्ष्यामि हितकाम्यया.
Oh, wonderful. Please read the translation, Mataji.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Listen again, O mighty armed Arjuna, because you are my dear friend. For your benefit I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained." Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Wonderful. So, this is something very interesting. Why? Because Krishna is saying that you are my priyamanaya. Yatteham priyamanaya. You are my dear friend. And because you're my dear friend, O Arjuna, vakshyami hitakamyaya. Hitakamyaya means that which is beneficial for you is what I'm going to speak. That means I've already spoken many things, but I'm going to elaborate on those things which will help you in executing your Man mana bhava mat bhakto. If you want to become man mana bhava mat bhakto, I'm going to elaborate few other things which will help you to attain that particular goal. So very, very nice. And he's addressing here Arjuna as Mahabhao. You know, you are very great. You are a great warrior. Oh Mahabhao, Shrunu me paramam vachaha. Whatever I'm speaking, it's not an ordinary, it's absolute knowledge. And I'm going to speak that absolute knowledge, which is hitakamaya. It is going to be very beneficial for you. So, in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the very first time when Krishna spoke, he spoke and Parashara Muni explains the meaning of Bhagavan. Bhagavan, Van means one who possesses. Bhaga means opulences. And this chapter is actually about opulences. Bhaga means opulences, and especially the six opulences, which are explained by Parashara Muni very beautifully. He says that the six opulences are, the number one is full strength, full fame, knowledge, wealth, beauty, and renunciation. Sampurna, all the Shat Aishwaryas are there with Krishna, and he is Shat Aishwarya Purnam. He has six opulences which makes him perfect, and that is why he's Bhagavan. There are many people who are Balavan, but Krishna is not just Balavan, he's Supreme Balavan. There are many people who are, so, we also call Hanuman. Hanu means intelligence. So one who possesses intelligence is called Hanuman. So like that, there are many people who possess Buddhivan. Intelligence is there. Another name for Hanuman is Buddhivan also. So many people, they possess something, but Krishna is Shat Aishwarya Purnam. He is completely so powerful that he possesses all the six opulences. Everything is possessed by him. That is meaning of Bhagavan. So that Bhagavan is now speaking to Arjuna and saying that I have already spoken this confidential knowledge to you in the previous chapter, but oh Arjuna, now I'm going to establish something very important by which you can become fully fixed in your devotional service. So, and this particular knowledge of Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada explains, should be heard and should be understood always in the association of devotees, because the association of devotees matters a lot when we want to acquire spiritual knowledge. Spiritual knowledge cannot be simply understood, especially the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam. It can be understood only in the association of devotees, because when we associate with the devotee, especially pure devotee like Prabhupada, when we're reading his books, we are actually getting in touch with the consciousness of Prabhupada. Right? When we read Prabhupada books, it is that pure consciousness, that is Krishna consciousness, which Prabhupada has, is affecting us also. We are coming in contact with that pure consciousness. And similarly, when you are hearing from a devotee who are disciples of Prabhupada and who are practicing the instructions of Prabhupada sincerely, and when you hear from them, the consciousness of that devotee also affects to the intensity that they are practicing, to that intensity of their bhakti affects us also, to the listener. So that is why when Parikshit Maharaj was hearing from the pure devotee like Shukdev Goswami, it was not just about the knowledge, but also the consciousness of Shukdev Goswami that affected Parikshit Maharaj. So similarly, whenever we hear anybody, it is not just a machine that is speaking. For example, when you hear from a radio, it is not a machine that is speaking. It is the person behind, and that consciousness of person affects us also. So it is very clear. Any attachment that we develop in this world, that attachment develops by hearing. Even for that matter, when we take about the material things in this world, we get attached to material things because we hear about them constantly again and again and again. Why do you think that there are so many advertisements and they spend huge amount of money on the advertisements? It's all because they want you to hear again and again and again about the product that they're speaking. So when you hear again and again of that particular thing, you become attracted, you get attached, and when you go to the stores and you see that particular product, you are actually getting that impulse to buy. Isn't it? So where did all that begin? It all began from hearing. So similarly, when you start hearing about Krishna again and again from pure devotees, then it is very natural that we start getting attracted to Krishna, we start becoming attached to Krishna. So that is why if we really want to sustain ourselves in Krishna consciousness, we need to hear more and more and more. Because what keeps us in Krishna consciousness is hearing, Shravanam. Our process of Navavida Bhakti also begins from Shravanam, Shravanam Kirtanam. Then everything, Dasyam, Sevanam, everything will come later on. But the process of bhakti begins from Shravanam. Why? Because the very first step that we are supposed to do is getting attached to Krishna by hearing. So when we hear about Krishna, we become attached to Krishna. So hearing plays a very, very important role in our bhakti. So that's why when we hear from pure devotees, it is affecting the consciousness of our own personalities, individual personalities. At the same time, the person from whom we are hearing matters a lot because he or she should be completely engaged in devotional service. So when we hear from people who are not authorized, who are not coming in the parampara, although they may speak very eloquently, but the consciousness is impure. They actually do not consider Krishna to be Bhagavan. So when they don't consider Krishna to be Bhagavan, then they don't recognize the opulences of Krishna. Now, it is completely contradictory. Now, Krishna is speaking about his opulences, but then they really do not recognize that personality, Bhagavan. They do not recognize his opulences, isn't it? And when we hear from such personalities, we really don't get to know the opulences of Krishna. And when we don't get to know the opulences of Krishna, then how can we meditate on Krishna? Because Krishna is saying, I'm explaining to you my opulences because you can do man mana bhava mad bhakto. That manmana can happen only when we hear from authorized people. So that is why Bhagavad Gita is like milk. We cannot hear this wonderful knowledge from people who are like serpents. There are snakes. When the snake tastes the milk, it becomes poison. Although it may appear like milk, but it becomes poison. And when we drink that poisonous milk, it affects our consciousness. And in fact, it takes us away from Krishna. So, hearing from authorized devotees about the opulences of the Lord is very, very important. And that's the first step of the Bhagavad Gita and first step in spirituality. So, Krishna has explained here, oh, Arjuna, please listen to me very carefully because I'm talking that which is hitakamyaya. Hitakamyaya means that is completely beneficial for you. And when Krishna is talking about beneficial things, it is not only for Arjuna alone. It is all those who are sincerely wanting to get out of this material world and want to become devotees of Krishna. Right? So we are all trying to become Krishna's devotee. So for that matter, we need to understand this chapter 10 very, very intelligently, using our buddhi and understand the different aspects of Krishna's opulences. So that in our day-to-day life, when we are moving around, we are not all the time in the temple. We are always going around, moving around in so many different areas. We are being bombarded with so many other material things. So even in those material things, if we can start searching Krishna, then that is amazing meditation. That's what Krishna is explaining in this 10th chapter here. Isn't it? So very beautifully, Krishna is trying to include all the material things for our spiritual growth. So who can be more kind than Krishna? He's actually very merciful. He's speaking out all these only because he is very merciful towards all of us. So this is very interesting. And let's go and understand the next verse also, and that will give us some more understanding of what Krishna wants to tell. So Dev, you can unmute yourself and let's chant the next verse. Very nice verse this is also. Name vidu suraganaha
न मे विदुः सुरगणः
prabhavam namaharshaya
प्रभवं नाम हर्षयाः
aham adirhi devanam
अहम् आदिर्हि देवानां
maharshinam cha sarvashah.
महर्षीणां च सर्वशः.
Wonderful. Once again, Name vidu suraganaha
न मे विदुः सुरगणः
prabhavam namaharshaya
प्रभवं नाम हर्षयः
aham adirhi devanam
अहम् आदिर्हि देवानां
maharshinam cha sarvashah.
महर्षीणां च सर्वशः.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
Neither the hosts of demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences, for in every respect I am the source of the demigods and the sages. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So this is very clear here. So one of the opulences that Krishna is already saying, that neither the host of demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences. See, this itself in one sense is an opulence, because if we know someone completely, then you'll think that, oh, see, that's my opulence. I know everything about this person. But here, Krishna is so unlimited that even the demigods or the great sages, they have no clue or idea about the opulences of the Lord. So, for in every respect, I am the source of the demigods and the sages. So, we clearly know that how in the Brahma Samhita, the very first verse, Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govindaha Sarva Karana Karanam. He's saying that same thing, Sarva Karana Karanam. I am the origin of everything. So now, very interesting, I want to just give you a glimpse, an idea about this particular aspect through a very beautiful story, a very fascinating story which comes in the Mahabharata. And I think it is so inspiring to know how great Krishna is. So we all know that at the end of this Kurukshetra war, when the Pandavas won the war and all the Kauravas were defeated and they were all killed, and Yudhishthira was actually instated as the emperor of the whole world. And when Yudhishthira actually became the emperor of the whole world, he wanted to perform Rajasuya Yagna on the orders of Krishna. So, Rajasuya Yagna is a very special yagna where a horse is selected, and that horse is actually sent across the globe in order to check if there is any king in the world who wants to challenge Yudhishthira. So now, this horse which was selected was also accompanied by few great warriors, because if there is any king who challenges this Rajasuya Yagna, it carries a message. And then if anybody challenges, these warriors who are along with this horse will fight that particular king and they'll defeat him. And then, either you have to accept Yudhishthira Maharaj as the emperor or you have to fight. So this is how this was all planned. And there were Arjuna who actually went along with the horse, and Krishna also followed. Now, when the horse was moving from one place to another place, just imagine, whole globe, it is moving around, and most of the kings, everybody was accepting Yudhishthira as the emperor. At one particular time, one point of this their journey, this horse came across the ocean, and all of them, they came to the banks of this ocean, and they were seeing, oh my God, now what to do? But this horse is no ordinary horse. This horse, which is actually a sacrificial horse, could actually run or walk on the waters also. So very, very special horse. So this horse started actually running on the waters, and only the five chariots of five great personalities could actually follow that horse. And that was Arjuna's chariot. There was Hamsadhwaja, Babruvahana, Pradyumna, and there was another Makaradhwaja. So just five of these people could take their chariots on the waters and follow that horse, not just on the land, but also on the waters. And slowly, gradually, this particular Rajasuya Ignas, the sacrificial horse, reached an island. In this whole big place, ocean, where there's all around water, there is a small island. And when they reach this island, the horse is there, all these five chariots are there, and then Krishna is also there. And there they see a very old sage. And when they look at him, there is anthill all across his body. There are small, small insects crawling on his body. There are snakes around his body. And practically all these bushes and everything all around him. But he's looking amazing, very brilliant. He seems to be very old. And then, when all these people approach close to him, this sage, he opens the eyes. He opens his eyes and he looks at Krishna and he says, "Oh, finally, you have come." He looks at Krishna and says, "Finally, oh, you have come." And everybody is amazed. Everybody is thinking, "Oh, who is this great sage?" And he knows Krishna. And then everybody is very curious. And then this sage, he gets up and then runs towards Krishna and he hugs Krishna. "Oh, you have come." And he's so happy. He's so filled with bliss and joy. And then Krishna introduces this sage to everyone else there. He says, "This is Rishi Bhagadalvya." The Rishi Bhagadalvya is a very, very old devotee. And they were all amazed to see this great personality. And then they were seeing that this devotee, Rishi, has been staying in this island for quite some time. And everybody is curious to know, how did he actually land up in this island? And they asked him this question. Arjuna asked this question, "Oh, my dear sage, how did you come here? And then, since how long are you actually being here? Been in this island?" This Rishi Bakadalvya, he says, "I don't know. I have actually lost the count of number of years. I don't know. I have lost the count of number of Markanda Rishis, and also Lomash Rishis have come and gone." Now, Markanda Rishis and Lomash Rishis, I can explain you some other time. And then finally he says, "I know one thing, that I have seen 20 Brahmas coming and going in my lifetime." Can you imagine? This Bhagadalve Rishi is saying 20 Brahmas, I remember they have come and gone. Just for your information, the lifespan of one Brahma is 311 trillion years. 311 trillion years is the lifespan of one Brahma into 20. You can imagine this Bhagadalve Rishi is being there in that island for so much long time. But interestingly, this Bhagadalve Rishi was having a leaf in his hand, a banyan leaf, And then this Makaradhwaja, who also was there, Madhuradhwaja, he asked, "Why are you holding this leaf in your hand? Oh, Rishi Bhagadalve, what is this leaf in your hand?" Then Bhagadalve Rishi explains that every time when the pralaya happens, there is this one little blue boy who actually floats on this leaf. And when he's floating on this, he opens his eyes and he looks at me and he smiles. He's actually referring to Vatapatra Sai, the beautiful form, the childlike form of Lord Krishna, who actually floats on the ocean which is created when there is pralaya. The Mahapralaya happens and Markanda Rishi again reinstates everything, right? So now he's saying that this Lord, who is actually floating on this leaf, is right before me today, and I'm so joyful, I'm so happy. He's right here. So he was very joyful. So can you imagine? He's such a great devotee, amazing devotee of Lord Krishna, and he's been meditating all the time on Lord Krishna. He's completely in samadhi, completely deep in samadhi all the time. And all these, when devotees, these 5 great warriors, when they see this, they are so excited and they want to know more about him. They want to know everything about this particular Bhagadalve Rishi. And now you can imagine if he starts explaining about his 311 trillion years into 20, you just imagine the number of stories that he can tell all of us, isn't it? Just you and me, just 30 years or 40 years, we have so many stories to tell in our own life. Now imagine if Bhagadalve Rishi starts explaining about the stories that he wants to say, then there are so many things that he can explain. But after saying all this, Bhagadalve Rishi explains one thing. He says one thing, "Oh, great warriors, actually, you know what? If at all you really wanted to have this Rajasuya Yagna to be successful, you need not have to send this horse all across the globe. If this horse could have just circumambulated Krishna, that would be the success of Rajasuya Yagna." that would be enough. This is just additional thing. These are just formalities. But when Krishna and all the devotees heard this, they were so happy, and they actually started becoming inquisitive about to know and understand about Bhakadalvi Rishi more. And then, out of so many stories you could tell, he chose to tell one very interesting story. And this is something very special. Can you imagine, for someone who has lived for so many years and he has to speak one story, something he has to share one experience, you can imagine how important that would be. So he is explaining one very important experience of his life, which is so long. And he starts explaining that once I was on the same island, I was actually meditating. I was actually doing a lot of tapasya here, holding this very same leaf, this banyan leaf. And Chaturmukhi Brahma happens to know about this, and he wanted to see me. So Chaturmukhi Brahma, he comes and he once spoke to me, being pleased by my tapasya. He said, "Oh Rishi, I have seen you doing a lot of tapasya. You have been doing this meditation for quite some time. And I'm sure you're doing all this because you have some desire. You please tell me, and I can fulfill any of your desire." Brahma is saying to Rishi Bakadalvya that I can fulfill any of your desire. You ask anything that you want. I'm very pleased with you. And then Bakadalvya Rishi says, he got annoyed. He said, "I don't want anything. I'm not doing this meditation because I want something. I don't want anything from you. Get lost." Now, Brahma got offended. I'm Chaturmukhi Brahma. I want to give you something. And here you are saying that you don't want anything. They both started fighting, and they both became angry at each other. And as they were becoming angry, both of them, suddenly there was a whirlwind, and then they were transported to another universe, both of them, Chaturmukhi Brahma and Bakadalvi Rishi. And there they go and see, in that universe, there is Ashtamukhi Brahma. There is eight-headed Brahma. And this eight-headed Brahma is confused. "Hey, who are these two entities who have come here now?" And this eight-headed Brahma is asking, "Who are you?" The Chaturmukhi Brahma is saying, "I am Brahma, and this is, some living entity who has come along with me." Then eight-headed Brahma is saying, "In this universe, I am the only Brahma. You are not the Brahma." Then they both started fighting. And as they both became angry, again there was a whirlwind, and all three of them, they got transported to another universe. And when they go there, they see there is a 32-headed Brahma there. And 32-headed Brahma is seeing this, some living entities have come into my universe. Who are these people? And he says, "I am the only Brahma. None of you are Brahmas here. I am the only Brahma." And that way, when they got angry, they again got transported to another universe. And you can imagine this all went on until they reached a universe where there was 1,000-headed Brahma. This was, after explaining all this, Bhakadalvi Rishi says, "I have understood one thing through this experience, that if at all we want to acquire knowledge, if we need knowledge, humility is the first qualification. The qualification to acquire spiritual knowledge is humility. Only when we become truly humble, we acquire knowledge." Just recently, I actually designed a poster for our digital signage in the temple. And Prabhupada also explained the very same instruction. He says, the beginning of all knowledge is humility. When devotees become truly humble, they become qualified to receive spiritual knowledge. That means, no matter, even if you are a Brahma, whose body itself is made up of intelligence. Brahma's body is not made up of Panchadhatu. His body is made up of intelligence, Buddhi Tattva. And he may actually have a lot of knowledge, and he in fact has a lot of knowledge. But that knowledge, if it is not coupled with humility, then you may lack realization. You may actually be bewildered and not reach the ultimate goal, which is man mana bhava mat bhakto. Even Brahma can get bewildered. So, if Bhakadalvi Rishi has to say this, it is such an important instruction for all of us. If we want to understand Bhagavad Gita, the very first prerequisite and the important qualification that we all need to know is we need to become humble. And humility comes by service. When we perform service, when we do devotional service in the association of devotees, we develop humility. This process of developing humility is not there in the corporate world. The corporate world, everybody wants to put down others and they want to climb up the corporate ladder. There is no question of humility in corporate world. But in devotees association here, we need to develop humility. Why? Because we want to gain that spiritual knowledge. Such an important thing. All this was so impressive that the five warriors, they said, we want you to please come and attend the Rajasuya Yagna with us. They were so excited that they really wanted. They said, Arjuna said, if you can be a part of the Rajasuya Yagna, we will be blessed. The whole Rajasuya Yagna will be blessed. My dear Rishi, please follow us and please come along with us. And Bakadalvi Rishi, because Krishna was there, he agreed to come and he joined. And when they all went back to Hastinapura, and in Hastinapura, they bought this horse. And when this horse is bought there, the whole assembly of great sages across the world all have assembled there. Many people have assembled there. And the Brahmanas, they test the purity of this horse. There is a very interesting way of checking the purity of this horse. The Rajasuya Yagna is complete only when the horse is considered to be pure. And how do they test it? Very interesting. They go and prick the horse. They prick the body of the horse, and when they prick the body of the horse, the blood doesn't ooze out of the body. What comes out of the body of the horse is the milk. If milk pours out of the body, then it is pure. Very interesting. And then, when that is done, they take the knife, a big sword, and they chop the head of the horse. And when they chop the head of the horse, the whole body of the horse gets transformed into camphor. All body completely gets transformed into camphor. And the head, they see it's going ascending to the heavenly planets. The horse gets a spiritual elevated body, not the spiritual body, but a heavenly body, and it ascends to the heavenly planets. This is the completion of Rajasuya Yagna. And that camphor is actually put into the Yagna. So this is the process of Rajasuya Yagna. And when all this was performed, everyone was so happy. The Devatas were so happy by seeing this Rajasuya Yagna that they came and in their celestial planes and they started, showering flowers across Hastinapura where the Rajasuya Yagna was taking place. There were flowers, there was rains of flowers all across, and everyone was so joyous. And when all this was happening, when there were so many people assembled, suddenly there is a mongoose that comes, crawling here and there it comes. And then it starts rolling onto the flowers, rolling everywhere, left and right to left. And then everybody's amazed. Oh, where did this mongoose come? Actually, mongoose, this is very fearful animal. When it sees human beings, it generally runs away. But here it's coming among so many human beings and it is crawling and it is just having a wonderful time in the flowers. And then everybody's amazed and looking at this and wondering where is this coming from and who is this mongoose? And interestingly, this mongoose starts speaking in a human form, in the human voice. He says, "Oh Yudhishthira, your Rajasuya Yagna is not as great as the Yagna performed by the Brahmana who gave me barley in soaked water. Barley soaked in water. That Yagna was much better than your Yagna. Your Yagna is nothing." Everybody was stunned by this. They were so happy to see such a beautiful, wonderful yagna, which was so successful. And here this mongoose is saying that your yagna is nothing. Everybody was so upset now, especially Yudhishthira Maharaj. The point here is we should know this mongoose talks about this and it just goes away from that place. And everybody is now curious to know. They were all a little disheartened. This mongoose came and spoke something like this and went away. Then the rishis there, they started explaining about the story of this mongoose. They say that this mongoose is having a history. The history is such that, very interesting history actually. Once when Jamadagni Muni, we all know Jamadagni. Jamadagni is the father of Lord Parashurama. Jamadagni Muni was performing a very nice yagna, and he was doing this yagna to please his pitras, his ancestors. So he was doing that Pindodaka Kriya, all those things. And at that time, anger personified, Krodha, anger personified, all these emotions like Kama, Krodha, Madamatsarya, all these are personalities. From the Bhagavatam, we understand they're all personalities. And anger, Krodha personified, he wanted to somehow pollute the food that Jamdagni Muni was offering to his ancestors. And he actually poisoned it, and then he wanted to see what will happen. So actually, Jamdagni Muni is very, very powerful. He could understand that Krodha has done all this nonsense thing. And then when he said that this cannot be offered, Jamdagni Muni said that this is impure and I cannot actually offer this. Krodha, he understood, oh, I could not play this trick with Jamdagni Muni. He actually got to know. And he started feeling a little guilty, and anger personified, Krodha, comes and begs forgiveness from Jamdagni Muni. He says, my dear Jamdagni Muni, please forgive me for what I have done. I am not supposed to do it, but please forgive me. Then Jamdagni Muni says, I have no problem, but you have not offended me, but you have offended my ancestors. So if at all you want forgiveness, you actually have to go to them and beg forgiveness from them. So Krodha actually goes to his ancestors, and then he begs forgiveness for what he has done. But the ancestors, they say, the ancestors of Jamdagni Muni, they say that's very offensive, and we curse you to become a mongoose. Can you imagine? So he says, you have to become mongoose now. And now Krodha became very upset, and he said, please don't curse me like this. You please give a solution also. Please bless me with the solution. Then they say that there's only one solution to this. If you and your story is being spoken in the Rajasuya Yagna of Yudhishthira Maharaj when Krishna is present, that is the only freedom that will actually free you from this life of mongoose. And then this mongoose, what happened was he became a mongoose, and he was actually once so happened that he was passing by one place, and there, very, very special, there is a connecting story here. There was a Brahmana, his wife, son, and daughter-in-law. Very poor Brahmana. This is how our Shastras always explain. Brahmana means Daridra Brahmana. They always explain and they start like this. Poor Brahmana, old Brahmana, and Daridra Brahmana. So that is how his condition was, because they were completely dependent on the Lord. So they had no food to eat at all. For many days, they had not eaten anything. And somehow by begging here and there, they accumulated a little food. And then after accumulating a little food, they were just about to eat. They distributed among themselves. They were about to eat. And then another old Brahmana, who is also a Daridra Brahmana, who is a hungry Brahmana, he comes and begs, Mo, please, I'm very hungry, please give me. So this Brahmana takes his food and gives to this Brahmana. And then he's still hungry, and he says, I'm still hungry. The wife of Brahmana, she also gives away her share, and he eats it. And he says, I'm still hungry. The son gives, he eats it. The daughter-in-law also gives, and he is also eating everything. And after eating everything, the Brahmana who had come as a guest, he says, are you not angry? I have eaten all your food. You have nothing to eat now. You should be angry on me. So this Brahmana says, actually, no. It's our pleasure that we could actually serve you. You have come as a guest and you are Atiti. And so so this is the culture. Just imagine. Where is this culture now today? Everybody has given their share of food. We try to accumulate others' food and we keep it. But here they are giving away everything that they have. And then they are about to die. If they don't eat, they are going to die. But here they were tested. And the person who came as a Brahmana was none other than Dharma. He was so pleased. Dharma was so pleased. He was testing them actually. And all of them got qualified. And when this Brahmana, he performed a yagna with barley soaked in rice. And it so happened that this mongoose, Krodha personified, happened to eat this barley. And when he ate this barley, half of this body of this mongoose turned into gold. turned into gold. So he was waiting that if I attend any other yajnas, which is as good as this, my other half also will become gold. And he was going and attending all the different yajnas, thinking that my other part, half of my body will become gold. And none of that could happen. And when he came to Rajasuya Yajna, he was rolling on those flowers, thinking that, okay, this must be a yajna which could actually transform my whole body into gold. And when it did not happen, he said, oh, Yudhishthira, your yajna is also a flop. Just see. But then, because he explained this whole story in front of Krishna, this mongoose went back and he got a spiritual uh, elevation. He was elevated to the spiritual platform. This mongoose got liberated because it was all spoken, and that was the prediction, and that is how the ancestors also had predicted that you will become free only when you see Krishna, and this your story is being told in front of Krishna. I'm saying all these things just to understand how Krishna is so supreme, and Krishna is saying that I'm the origin of everything, of the demigods and of the great rishis. So, if you understand in this whole pastime that we discussed today, there were great rishis like Bakadalvya, there were great rishis who, Brahmanas, who are ready to give away everything for the pleasure of another Brahmana, and we have demigods. All these people are all coming. The origin of all these is Krishna. And that Krishna is saying that now I'm going to reveal my opulences to you. So that is why when we understand Bhagavad Gita, with all this wonderful pastimes from Mahabharata and from Ramayana, all these different pastimes from Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, it gives us so much maturity in growing in our spiritual life. This is required and this is very essential, right? So it was really mesmerizing when I actually first heard about this beautiful story in last time. I just wanted to share with all of you, and it's very, very interesting actually. I'm just thinking that, if somebody could live for so many years, and in fact, Bakadal Rishi also says that life is very short. You know, life is very short. Person has to. Bakadal Rishi is saying that life is too short for spiritual life. Then what to speak of us? We just live for 100 years or not even that, and we have to be on a fast track. And actually, we are on a fast track because we are somehow come in touch with Prabhupada's movement, because Prabhupada is on a fast track. So we have to be very, very careful to be on this fast track, and we have to be very sincere in our efforts. When we do that, understand Krishna properly, I think that will actually make us quickly progress in spiritual life. So we have Achyutanji also listening to us on YouTube. He has joined us today, and there are a few other devotees who are listening on YouTube. You can comment and let us know that you're there. We just want to know who you are listening to us, so that will be nice. So there is another very interesting shloka also, so we can understand that in the next session. But if you have any questions for now, you can please feel free to ask questions. So any questions, please? So many times when we are thinking about, opulences, it is only through the reference of our current understanding of the world we say, oh, this is an opulence. This is an opulence. We see some rich people, we say, this is, oh, he's very quite opulent. Or we see some very beautiful person, we say, oh, he's, that's an opulence. We get attracted. So Krishna is Bhagavan and he possesses all the six opulences. So this makes him most attractive in all respects. So if that person is now further revealing some more opulences, apart from the six opulences, then it is only for our benefit. Only for our benefit. I think we'll quickly cover the next verse also. Vinodji, since you have all joined, let you also get a chance to chant. So let us chant another simple and important verse. You can unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yo mam ajam anadim cha
Yo mam ajam anadin cha
vetti loka maheshwaram
veti loka maheshwaram
asammudah samarteshu
असम्मूढश्च भर्तेषु
सर्वपापै प्रमुच्यते.
सर्वपापे प्रमुच्यते.
Wonderful. Once again, yo mamajam anadim cha
यो मामजम् अनादिं च
vetti loka maheshwaram
वेत्ति लोकमहेश्वरम्
asammudah samharteshu
असम्मूढश्च भर्तेषु
सर्वपापै प्रमुच्यते.
सर्वपापे प्रमुच्यते.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
He who knows me as the unborn, as the beginningless, as the supreme Lord of all the worlds, he only, undiluted among men, is freed from all sins. Hare Krishna.
Yes, wonderful. So it's very interesting words here also to understand and know. It is Krishna is clearly stating here, he who knows me as the unborn. Now, how is Krishna unborn when he is born to Devaki and Vasudev? We all had been to Mathura and we saw that he was born in a jail. We went to the jail and Vinodji was right there yesterday in Mathura. He was the birthplace, Janmabhoomi. Because you are in Janmabhoomi and Krishna is here saying, I'm unborn. So it's very contradictory, isn't it? So you must be confused now, Vinodji, what happened? Mathura, hum log gaye, waste ho gaya. So Krishna is saying, I am unborn in the sense he doesn't take birth like us. We have understood this pastime very beautifully that when Krishna appeared in that jail, that Karagraha, he appeared as a four-handed form, Vishnu, very transcendental way of appearing in this world. And then he transforms himself into a two-handed form, isn't it? So he was not born like we people, ordinary living entities, take birth in this world. His birth is very uncommon. And that's why he is saying that I'm unborn. So when he comes here, he actually comes in his original body. Our bodies keep changing, but Krishna's body never changes. So that's why he's unborn. He never changes bodies. His bodies are all transcendental and eternal. He is Satchit Ananda. So all different rupas that he takes, Narsimha, Meena Sharira, Kurma Sharira, or any Sharira he takes, they are all eternal forms. Right? So that is why he is unborn. And he is beginningless. Anadir Adir Govinda. There is no beginning for Krishna. He is the beginning for everything else. So Krishna is saying that as the Supreme Lord of all the world, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. He's saying that I am the Maheshwara of all the worlds. So now you can imagine there was a universe which is four-headed with four-headed Brahma. There is a universe with the 8 Astamukhi Brahma. Then there is 32-mukhi Brahma, and there is 1,000-headed Brahma. And there are so many bubbles, so many bubbles coming out. And he's saying that I am the Ishvara of all these bubbles. So it is fantastic. He is, I'm saying bubbles. I'm using these words bubbles because in front of Krishna, what are these bubbles? It's not like, oh, I built up such a big campus, I built such a big temple, or I built something very big building. Krishna is not saying all those things. These are all bubbles for me. But just bubbles, small, small bubbles. And he's saying he only, this word is very important, he only, undiluted among men, is freed from all sins. So he only means this is very, very rare. Krishna is saying such a person, such an undiluted person is very rare. 7.3, we have understood Manushyanam Sahasreshu Kaschit Yatati Siddhaye. Manushyanam Sahasreshu, out of many, many thousands of men, there'll be one such undiluted person. And such undiluted person is capable of understanding me completely, is what Krishna is saying here. Isn't it? So, not an ordinary thing. Again. So, fortunately, among those so many undiluted persons, we are one of them. Now, our point is, we have understood Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but theoretically we have understood. We know theoretically that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. But to understand that Krishna is in reality and to have that realization that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we need knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. Only when we have this transcendental jnana, knowledge, we can understand Krishna in tattvataha. Because Krishna says, only one who understands me tattvataha, you can come to me back to home, back to Godhead. Isn't it? So this is a great opportunity that we all have, is that we have come to Krishna consciousness. We theoretically understand that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Now with the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, we will know and realize that Krishna is in fact the only Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the conclusion that we are all supposed to come to after the end of, when we end Bhagavad Gita. Isn't it? So that realization has to come. That realization comes by service. And the first service is chanting the holy names. So this is how the process is beginning. And all of us are now nicely taken up Krishna consciousness. Let's make this life the most beneficial, and make this as the topmost goal, the ultimate goal of our human form of life. There shouldn't be any other goal which is more having more priority than this goal of understanding Krishna and going back to Krishna. So ultimately, all this study of Bhagavad Gita we are doing is only to understand and come to this conclusion that we are supposed to be in the spiritual world with Krishna. This should become ingrained in our brains, that this goal is the ultimate goal that we are all supposed to reach. Now, any questions? I'll end here. So, there are many interesting things Krishna is going to reveal about his opulences. And in fact, in this very verse, the third verse itself, he is saying that by saying that I am unborn, being unborn itself, ajam means an opulence of the Lord. Anadim, I am the oldest, that's also an opulence of the Lord. And Loka Maheshwaram, I am Sarva Loka, Vetti Loka Maheshwaram, he's saying. So we cannot be Vetti Loka Maheshwaram. None of us are Vetti Loka Maheshwaram. Right? So in that sense, that is also an opulence, because he is the Maheshwara of all the. So three opulences are already explained in this particular verse. So you can imagine now how many more opulences is going to explain. Many more.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Dev.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I wanted to ask, say for example, I have to introduce someone to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in some
Okay.
simple words, to people who do not know him. So how would you
Okay.
suggest that? Because God Purnima is coming, that's why I'm asking.
Okay. See, most people connect with Radha and Krishna, right? Because many people, they have seen many things about Radha Krishna, and they have read about Radha Krishna. They have seen TV serials about Radha Krishna. They have visited temples of Radha Krishna, most of them, isn't it? So when we see Radha Krishna, they understand and they connect. So when you talk about Radha Krishna, and then you say that the combined form of Radha Krishna is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? So that way they'll get introduced. Oh, yes, Radha Krishna together appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That will be the easiest way, in simple ways, to explain to them that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord who has appeared in Kali Yuga to introduce this Sankirtan moment. So I think this way you can connect to people.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you.
Right? Yeah.
Prabhuji, um,
Yes, Vinodji.
when I was there yesterday, I
Yes,
felt
Radhe
that
Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. I I felt that we have seen very little in our trip, but I think that was because of the time constraint.
Yeah,
So we should going forward we should make more trips there also. Yeah, it
really.
was very less we have seen. I mean, there's so much to explore there. Yes.
Yes. So then I think I'll offload a little bit of responsibility onto you next time.
Sure,
So
sure.
you choose the guest house next time. That is one for sure. Okay.
Yes.
And rest everything I'll take care of.
No, I will do that. I since I go there often, I will do that. No problem.
Yes. So we will manage something, and I think since you are visiting there regularly, you can explore.
Sure.
And
Yes.
yeah, like you said, there are many more things to visit, and we have just explored few things about Vrindavan. And hopefully, Achyutanji also will join us next time, and we
Yes.
can have a trip together again to Vrindavan. So that will be
Yes.
nice.
Lovely.
So and but Hina Mataji also should be ready to bear the crowd that it was there this time, and we should probably plan in such a way that we go a little before Kartik or after Kartik, so that or the end of before the beginning of Kartik, so that we peacefully go around the places and understand and hear the pastimes of the Krishna and Radha are there, right?
Yes, because yesterday, day before yesterday, it was like, you can't take the car there, Vrindavan mein. 2-3
Hmm.
kilometer pehle they are stopping the car
Yes,
and you have to walk inside. Too much
exactly.
of crowd. And then when
Yes.
you go and when you come back from there, na, you won't recognize yourself. You're filled with colors. Yeah. So it was nice. Yeah.
Okay, so in a way it's nice. So you got
Yes.
you're getting a new form there. So interestingly,
Yes.
yes, we will try to go there sometime
Yeah.
when there is less crowd, because then we can relish more. When we hear, when
Yes.
we go to these places, we can relish more. So that's the
And
night.
parikrama also, we can maybe, if possible, we can do parikrama. Many people were doing in the auto also, and people were
Yes,
walking also. Yeah.
yeah, we will walk next time.
Yes.
And we'll carry
Yes.
a lot of prasadam and everything along with us, so that in between, when we feel hungry and the monkeys are also hungry, we can feed all of us and we can eat and
Yeah, we were.
together
I was
joyfully
doing that.
perform.
I was doing that on the parikrama mark. Now we were feeding the cow, we were feeding the monkeys, and
Oh,
it was
wonderful.
nice fun. And they have made all this suvidha rakhe hai ki, you can just sit for some
uh,
time, and there's a massage, foot massager also on the way. So
oh,
yeah,
this is all new to me, actually. I was never aware of all these things, and good.
yeah, I will share the picture also. But actually, it is, the people are obviously, those people are trying doing some business, but it is a good thing for the people who are doing
People who
parikrama.
are
It is
coming
a,
there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's very
Yes.
nice, and I think now I'm a little jealous of you because you are enjoying more than us and you had a better experience.
I think it's all the blessings of the Lord. Yes.
So good. See, you're already speaking
Yes.
the spiritual language now.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
Absolutely.
that's very good. Yes, so you can pray whenever you go there next time, so that we all together, maybe in a larger numbers, we go there and visit. So we can bring and
Yes.
introduce more people next time to Vrindavan.
Yes. I think I have got Radha Rani's kripa, so I am able to go.
Ah, there is
Yeah.
no doubt, no thing. Actually, you have got that.
Yes.
So that's why you're visiting there very often.
Yes. Yes.
Good. So very nice, and hope you have got a lot of prasadam there.
Yes. 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 Can I courier it to you?
So that's okay. I'll
Yes.
come sometime
I'll
and take it personally.
yes. Yes.
But
Yes.
anyway, thanks for considering.
Yes.
So thanks,
Yes.
Vinodji. Please take care,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all of you,
Thank you.
please take care. We'll meet again. And Achyutanji, thank you for joining. And all of you who are listening on YouTube also, thank you for joining and being a part of this session. We'll continue from where we have left in the next session. Please take care. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Brahma.